All right. Hi. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Workspace Wellness series. Today, we're so lucky to have Linda with us today. She's owner of Avalon Lane Studio. She has a background in interior design like I do, but she has a very interesting specialization in Feng Shui. And she's going to be talking to us a little bit about how that integrates into work environments and how we can improve our workspaces and our well-being in general by integrating aspects of Feng Shui. So thankful for you to be here today, Linda. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and your interest and how it started in Feng Shui?
Well, it's interesting. As you noted, I do have a background in interior design. Most of my work has been corporate. A little story I like to tell. I mean, I was raised in the prairies by generations of farmers. My grandfather at one point said to me, "An interior designer, you're going to have to move to the city." And I went, "Yeah." But again, a lot of the Feng Shui and interior design kind of brings me back to, believe it or not, the farm. I'm an avid gardener, almost always barefoot, so I'm very grounded and very in touch with how our environment impacts us. And again, you know as well, through your design practice, we can create an environment that impacts how people behave in that space.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting.
And Feng Shui has not rules and regulations, but I mean, there are ideologies that are between 3,000 and 5,000 years old that have been developed in regards to the Earth's energy. So taking a look at that energy, you know how sometimes we go through the moon cycles. So that's Earth energy, or Qi, as they refer to it in Feng Shui. And a lot of people react to that energy, but you don't quite realize it. When you spring clean and you open up all the windows, you're bringing in good energy. When people want new design in their homes or their offices, they're craving a different energy. You've heard people say, "I think this space is a little stale."
Yes.
So they want something new.
That's literally what they mean. And is that sort of the core of Feng Shui? I mean, it seems like such a complex concept. I know a little bit about it, but not a lot. And would you say those are sort of some of the core elements or core concepts of Feng Shui?
That is one of the core concepts. And when I talk about core concepts, I'd like to focus on actually two of the main ones. There are many practices in Feng Shui, just like there are many practices for martial arts. So there's different little ways that you can tweak it. I practice form school or compass, which is based on flying stars, which again talks about the energy and gets a little bit more complex. But the basic core concepts are the flow of energy, or the Qi, and balancing that energy by using the 5 elements. So according to Feng Shui, everything in our surroundings, everything is based on 5 elements. So you've got fire, water, earth, metal, and wood. So everything boils down to those elements. So you've walked into, we've all done it. You've walked into a space where it's very white and it feels very sterile and very cold.
Yes.
White is representative of the metal element. Right. So it's very hard and it's very cold. Now you take that same space and you add blue, which is a little bit of water. You add a plant, which is earth and wood, because you get both of those. You add a little bit of color, a little bit of texture, and that room becomes balanced. Right?
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of balancing all of those elements.
That really aligns with, we see the trend right now with the white walls, the wood floor, the black, like that perfectly explains why that breakdown works so well. Yep. And why probably those lighter, warmer woods are becoming very popular with the white walls and those aspects.
Yeah,
interesting.
Absolutely. And again, we talked about trends in design. So you see periods in time where everything is white and sterile and clean. So the design world is reacting to the energy that they're feeling, because the metal energy is very strong. So that's why you want, you know what I mean? Yeah. So everything kind of is compatible. You take a look at the Victorian area where everything was busy and heavy, and that was reacting to a different change in energy.
Yeah, and
I get
probably
very passionate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. That's exactly what you should be. This is your thing, right? So very cool. So can you give us some examples? I'm sure there's many, but can you pick some of the maybe more common or popular examples of how we can improve the flow specifically, or the chi in our spaces, in our workspaces especially?
In your workspaces, and it's interesting, working through the pandemic, there's been a lot of conversation about traffic flow. So again, making sure that you go in the right direction. So traffic flow is important to Feng Shui. So when I take a look at how some of the traffic flows have moved, you make sure that you can get around a space and in and out of a space. When you take a look at corporate offices and you have building codes and you have dead-end corridors, that sort of thing, that's actually an example of the flow of qi, because your energy needs to flow smoothly. So if you have a dead-end corridor, your energy becomes stagnant in that space.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When you take the elements of Feng Shui and apply them to everything that we do in design, it's all so relevant, so relevant.
Yeah, it makes sense. We don't even know that we're applying these principles
No.
essentially.
Yeah, it's very organic, which was one of the things that drew me to Feng Shui. Having been in the design world for over 30 years now, discovering Feng Shui, taking a deep dive into discovering Feng Shui a few years ago, it all felt so logical. We talk about, again, those dead-end corridors, making sure that you have movement in a space. We talk about biophilia. There's a lot of people that say biophilia is simply Feng Shui renamed.
Yes, and we do have an episode on biophilia specifically. I had someone come in, but for those who don't know, biophilia is basically the incorporation of nature, especially plants, into a space. Yeah, that's a really good example, and a very logical connection with the principles of Feng Shui, I think, as well. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the other aspect that I know you talk about a lot as it relates to Feng Shui in terms of a core concept is this idea of balance. What are some techniques if people want to make sure they have appropriate balance and good energy in that regard? What are some things that we can be doing?
Just making sure that everything feels grounded. In some cases, designers are designers because they have that within their DNA organically. But like I mentioned, I mean, you can, Feng Shui is making a great entry into a bit of pop culture, and you can Google it and quite easily find things out. Taking a look at balancing those 5 elements and making sure that your room or your space has those elements in it so that it feels comfortable. And again, some people have it in their DNA. You can even walk into a space and it feels right or it feels off. We've all walked into a room and it's like, wow, I don't know what to do here. I don't know where to sit. I don't know what happens. Or you can walk into a space and go, wow, yeah, this is it. This is it. You know, sometimes when you buy a new home, when you walk into that one that you know is yours, you know it's yours.
It's an instinct. So Feng Shui is really sort of the reason behind some of those instincts we don't necessarily know why we have, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Amazing. So yeah, I think those are some really great tips. So really looking at those 5 elements is kind of where it starts.
Yes.
And trying to improve. So maybe it's adding a plant, or maybe it's adding water, or whatever color or material could kind of represent that is really where it all begins.
Yep.
Yeah. At a simple level, I know there's much more to it, but that's a helpful way for people who are more new to the concept, I think, to understand it. So all of that being said, I think this is all very interesting information for our audience. If anyone is interested in learning more about Feng Shui, or maybe would like to have you come out and give them some more information specific to their space, how can they get in touch with you?
I do have a website. So it's Avalon Lane Feng Shui. So you can pop on there and take a look, or I can be emailed at lindab@avalonlanefengshui.ca.
That's wonderful. And I will put that contact information at the bottom of this video when we post it as well. And yeah, I would like to thank you again, Linda, for joining us. Very interesting information and very relevant and in line with our goal of helping people have more wellness in their workspaces.
Excellent. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Erica.
Thank you, Linda.